On March 13th, something strange happened. The official account of the Israeli Prime Minister's office posted a tweet about Benjamin Netanyahu. Within hours, it was deleted, and the internet started asking a terrifying question. Is Netanyahu dead? The tweet was posted. Then it vanished. And once something disappears from the internet during a war, the silence becomes louder than anything that was ever said.
אנחנו פוגעים וקודשים את עושה דברו, החיזבאללה בלבנון. בשילוב זרועות חסר תקדים בין ישראל וארצות...
On the night of March 13th, 2026, the official account of the Israeli Prime Minister's office, verified, blue-checked, one of the most watched government accounts on the planet, posted a statement that stopped people mid-scroll. It said, rumors circulating on social media about PM Benjamin Netanyahu's status are unconfirmed. It said, efforts are underway to establish contact. Then it said he remains committed to Israel's security. And then, within hours, that tweet was gone. Deleted, scrubbed, as if it had never existed. Now you can believe the official explanation. You can believe it was a drafting error, a miscommunication, a rogue press officer. You can believe all of that. Or you can ask the question that millions of people around the world are already asking. Why would the Prime Minister's office, in the middle of the most consequential war the Middle East has seen in decades, put out a statement saying they were trying to establish contact with their own leader, and then pretend it never happened? Let me walk you through what we actually know, because this story is bigger than one deleted tweet. It starts on February 28, 2026. The United States and Israel launched a joint military campaign against Iran, targeting nuclear sites, oil infrastructure, military installations. In response, Iran's Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps began striking back. Hard. They claimed to have launched Khyber ballistic missiles directly at Netanyahu's office in Jerusalem. They claimed the strike was successful. They claimed, and this is the exact phrase they used, that Netanyahu's fate was unclear. Now the Israeli government called that fake news. And in the hours that followed, they released photographs of Netanyahu at meetings in Tel Aviv, at a strike site in Beit Shemesh, images designed to say, he's here, he's fine, keep moving. But then came the days of silence. Fewer videos. No live press conferences. A Jared Kushner visit reportedly postponed. And then, on March 11th, a social media post by Norman Finkelstein, a well-known figure, claiming that Netanyahu had been missing for 5 days and that even people close to him didn't know where he was. And then, that tweet from the Prime Minister's office itself, the one that talked about establishing contact, the one that got deleted. And the internet, already primed and watching, exploded. By March 13th, claims were flooding X, TikTok, and Facebook, some alleging he had been killed in an Iranian strike, others insisting the press conference he finally gave on March 12th was AI-generated, pointing to what they said was a sixth finger on his right hand as evidence of digital manipulation. PolitiFact, I'll come back to that. Because that detail, that bizarre, almost absurd detail, tells you something important about the information environment we're now living in. Now let's play a different game for a moment. Let's ask, what if the rumors were true? Not because I'm saying they are. I want to be clear. The evidence available points heavily toward Netanyahu being alive and operational. But this is 2026. We are in the middle of what analysts are now calling the Great Middle East War. And in war, the most powerful weapon is not always a missile. Sometimes it's a question. Sometimes it's a silence. So hypothetically, if a sitting prime minister at the center of the most volatile geopolitical conflict in a generation were to be killed, what would that mean? The 2026 conflict erupted after joint U.S.-Israeli strikes targeted Iran's nuclear program on February 28, attacks that expanded rapidly, hitting oil depots, refineries, and military sites, while Iran retaliated against U.S. and Israeli assets in Kuwait, Qatar, Saudi Arabia, and the United Arab Emirates. Legit.ing this is not a regional skirmish. This is a restructuring of the entire order of the Middle East. And Netanyahu is not just a prime minister in this moment, he is the architect of the strategic decision that lit this fuse. He was the first person to publicly claim, via video message, that Iranian Supreme Leader Ali Khamenei had been killed in an Israeli strike. He is the face of this war, domestically and internationally. If he were removed from the picture, by death, by injury, by any means, the chain of command in Israel would face an immediate and catastrophic legitimacy crisis. Who gives the orders? Who speaks to Washington? Who tells the IDF to escalate or stand down? In a war this large, with this many nuclear-adjacent calculations on the table, the answer to that question could determine whether the region steps back from the edge or goes over it. And beyond Israel, what does it mean for Iran? For Hezbollah? For every actor in this theater waiting to read a signal about Israeli resolve? The death of a wartime leader does not end wars. More often, it accelerates them. It becomes a rallying cry. It becomes justification. It becomes the moment that a limited conflict becomes something historians write about for centuries. That is the stakes. That is why this question, even as a question, matters so much. But now let's talk about what's actually going on. Because the truth behind this story is arguably as interesting as the conspiracy. Iran's Tasnim news agency published a report promoting false speculation that Netanyahu may have been killed or wounded. The piece assembled a series of circumstantial points, including the absence of recent video clips of Netanyahu, reports about tightened security around his home, the postponement of visits by Jared Kushner and U.S. Special Envoy Steve Witkoff, and a French readout of a call between President Macron and Netanyahu that did not specify the date of the conversation. The Jerusalem Post noticed what Tasnim did there. It didn't fabricate a single fact. Every element it cited was technically real. There were gaps in footage. Security was tightened. The Kushner visit was postponed. The Macron readout was undated. And yet, assembled together, without proof, they built a narrative of a dead man out of living details. That is the architecture of modern disinformation. It doesn't lie to you directly. It arranges the truth in a way that makes you lie to yourself. Israeli security officials highlighted that many of the viral posts originated from accounts suspected of having ties to Iran. Investigations revealed that several images used to prove the attack were actually generated using artificial intelligence. Egypt independent, and this is where it gets philosophically uncomfortable. Because we are now in a moment where a government can release a video of its leader, and a significant portion of the global population will immediately ask, "Is this real?" That is a new and genuinely terrifying place for the world to be. After Netanyahu finally gave his first press conference since the start of the war on March 12th, social media users immediately began claiming the video was AI-generated, pointing to what they said was a sixth finger on his right hand. In reality, a trick of light likely made part of his palm appear to be an extra finger. PolitiFact he appeared live, on camera, broadcast simultaneously by multiple international outlets, fielding press questions in real time, and people still said it was fake. That tells you the verification crisis has gone somewhere beyond fact-checking. We have reached a moment where evidence itself has lost authority for a significant portion of the audience. And Iran and Russia and every state actor invested in Israeli confusion knows this. They don't need to kill Netanyahu. They just need enough people to believe he might be dead. The uncertainty alone is the weapon. The IRG statement describing Netanyahu's fate as uncertain was designed to create psychological pressure. After reports of Ayatollah Ali Khamenei's death, expectations of high-level retaliation were elevated. Several hours without a live appearance during missile exchanges fueled speculation. Unverified claims spread faster than official confirmations. Leadership assassination rumors are among the most powerful tools in modern information warfare. Think about what was accomplished without a single confirmed fact. Global financial markets moved on war uncertainty. Diplomatic communications were thrown into speculation about continuity of Israeli leadership. Israeli citizens, already living under missile strikes, were subjected to an additional layer of existential anxiety about whether their wartime prime minister was even alive. And the Israeli government, whatever its faults, whatever your politics, was forced to spend significant political and media bandwidth denying something that should never have had the oxygen to spread in the first place. That is the return on investment for a piece of Iranian state media content. That is why they do it. That is why it will keep happening. So where does that leave us? Here is what we can say with confidence. On March 12th, Netanyahu spoke at a news conference that was broadcast live on X as well as by multiple media outlets. Snopes, he is alive. He is operational. The deleted tweet, the one that started this specific wave, appears to have been either a fabrication or a rapidly pulled draft, though the Israeli government has not given a fully satisfying account of its origin, and that silence is its own kind of fuel. The viral post included an alleged screenshot suggesting that the tweet denying the death rumors had been deleted, and within hours the post attracted over 1.9 million views. Meow, that screenshot, the one you may have seen, the one at the center of this story, became more powerful than any official statement. Because in the age of screenshots, a deleted post is always more believable than a live press conference. The deletion confirms the cover-up. The press conference proves nothing. That is the logic of our moment. And it is a logic that states, non-state actors, and influence operations have learned to exploit with devastating precision. Here is what I want you to sit with. We are watching a war unfold in real time across two layers simultaneously. There is the physical war, the missiles, the strikes, the casualties, the maps that change week by week. And then there is the information war, the screenshots, the deleted tweets, the AI-generated images, the six-finger press conferences, the Tasnim reports built from real facts arranged into false conclusions. And the second war is being fought on your phone, in your feed. Right now, the question of whether Netanyahu is alive was never really about Netanyahu. It was a test of how quickly a rumor can move faster than reality, how easily a deleted tweet can become proof of a conspiracy, how effectively uncertainty can be weaponized even in the absence of a single bomb. Benjamin Netanyahu stood before cameras on March 12th and answered questions from journalists. By March 13th, millions of people were still asking if he was real. That is the world we're in. And if that doesn't keep you up at night, nothing will.